Hello people of the internet, I'm back once again to talk to you about our new coffee release from Blending Room, and today it is Los Volcanitos, a washed red and yellow Catuí from Nicaragua. In these videos I'll describe how I roasted the coffee, we'll walk through a tasting, and I'll put forward some suggestions on which method of brewing would be best for it. Blending Room is a small coffee roastery. We roast between 500 and 600 kilos of coffee a week, so I rely very heavily on import partners inside of the UK. Los Volcanitos was sourced through Matt Sealby of Falcon Speciality. Thanks, Matt. We've been working with Falcon now for probably more than a dozen years, and I have built up an awful lot of trust in these importers. They deliver to us some excellent coffee year on year, and most of the portfolio of coffee that I purchase is sourced through these import partners. In the description below, I have provided some more information on this farm given to us by Falcon Speciality when we sourced the coffee. Now, let's dive straight into the roast profiles. What you'll see on the screen now is a snapshot of the data that is collected in our software platform called Cropster. You'll note that I have done 3 roasts and they're indicated by these PR numbers. You'll find these on the back of your bag as well. So if you ever have any questions about your coffee, you can just supply us the PR number on the back of your bag and we will be able to give you this roast information. So the roast information here basically describes the total time across each of the 3 batches that I have performed. They were 12 kilo starting weights indicated on the screen here, and I've roasted them between 9 minutes 30 and 9 minutes 40 in total roast time. You can see the post first crack development time. These are all parts of a roast that are very important indications of consistency, or in this case, roast profile recipe development. I like to make a couple of different changes throughout the 3 batches to make sure that for any subsequent batches I have a better understanding of the coffee, notwithstanding the fact that this is the first Nicaraguan that I've roasted on the Loring being the new roaster that we have inside of the roastery. So what we'll see here are 3 batches with roast lines that are overlaid from each other. There are 2 types of curves that we're interested in. This one here is the bean curve, and this one here is what we call the rate of rise. There are various different shapes that a roaster may or may not want, and this is a bit of a remnant of understandings from our drum roaster. So one of the things I must do on a weekly basis is challenge the dogma that I have, all roasters have, on roast methodology and roast approach. At some point in the future, I will do a video that will do an in-depth analysis of a roast profile and describe some of the thought processes that a roaster would go through in overall recipe development. Now, let's get into the tasting. First, what we do is we're going to try and take an assessment of the aroma profile, because the aroma will give us a leading indication as to what we may experience in the cup and on our palate. So let's have a smell. So what I get here is quite a lot of chocolate. It smells dark chocolate-like, but there's this prevailing sweetness, and the sweetness is formed in some form of purpley stone fruits. So let's have a taste and see whether that actually transpires onto our palate in the taste profile, which it absolutely does. The first thing that you notice, there's this really sprightly acidity. It is citrus, there's a little bit of malic, so think green and yellow apples, and also things like mandarin and other type of orange citrus fruits, but citrus fruits that are on the sweet end of the spectrum, hence mandarin. You could say satsuma as well, those types of fruits, but it's lovely and sparkling and sprightly. It's very, very crisp and also exceptionally clean. So what about the mid palate? What about the sort of texture, those sorts of things? Okay, so texturally, it's both crisp and syrupy at the same time. There's no murkiness in here at all. There is lots of this purple fruited sweetness. We've put fig on the bag. You could also put Victoria plum, but there is this very, very prevalent sweet characteristic. Then the last thing that we would like to assess as a taster is what the finish is like. And It's the dark chocolate that I can taste here that I think we're going to get quite a lot on the finish. So let's have a taste again. Which we absolutely do. So the finish is the flavours that we would describe that sit on your palate once you've actually drunk the coffee. And for this, the Los Volcanitos, there's lots of dark chocolate. There's no bittering compounds that I can perceive, so it's a wonderfully crisp and a wonderfully balanced coffee. On this basis, let's have a quick chat about how I feel this would be best brewed. Today's assessment of Los Volcanitos has been prepared by a batch filter brew. And what I mean by batch brewing is when you do filter brewing en masse, so more than half a litre of brewing, and preferably something that is a mechanised brew, so not a hand pour like a Hario V60 or something like that. I use the batch brew because I'm a little bit apathetic when it comes to brewing, and when I'm doing these long form tasting videos, I need a big jar of it pre-prepared. So today's brew and today's assessment is based on a batch filter brew. This is exactly where I feel the coffee would sit best. There's lots of crispness, lots of sweetness, and a filter brew will really help promote all of that inside of the cup. Because of the sweetness, I also feel that this would have great strength in a cafetiere. The cafetiere is my Sunday morning brew. It's slow brewing, it's easy brewing. It's brewing where there's less complexity because of the fine particles in suspension that adds body in the cup, that adds more presence of sweetness as well. So I'll brew this on Sunday by cafetiere at home with my family. And if that is your method of brewing, what you should expect to find is lots of the fig and plum sweetness inside of the cup. Now to espresso. This coffee should suit espresso. There's a lot of acidity in there, and there's a lot of brightness and crispness. If you enjoy nouveau espressos that are fruit forward and fresh, this would be a fantastic coffee to meet those criteria. Okay, so that's Los Volcanitos. I've described how I've roasted the coffee. There is some description down below from our coffee importers, Falcon Speciality, and I've also given you some suggestions on how to brew it based on our taste analysis. For those of you who are not aware, this coffee is available to purchase online. The link is directly below. We're also at Beverley Market every Saturday, and the roastery in Hull is open between 9 and 5 Monday to Friday. I hope this video has been insightful. Do ask any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you again next week for next week's new release. Cheers!